6:37 a.m. Minneapolis, Minnesota. The city was still dark. Federal agents were already moving. 3,000 FBI, ICE, and D personnel had been deployed overnight. Their target, a $3 billion fraud network hidden inside Minnesota's child care system. What began as routine welfare oversight had exposed something far darker. 89 children missing. Organs trafficked across for countries. A sitting congresswoman's fingerprints all over the money. This wasn't welfare fraud. This was organized crime wearing the mask of compassion. If you want the full truth, hit like so this story reaches more people. What I'm about to show you will change how you see government programs forever. The operation started 3 months earlier. Not in Minneapolis, but in a cubicle 1,100 miles away, January 14th. A federal auditor in Washington, D.C. noticed something unusual. A single child care provider in Minnesota had processed $11.4 million in reimbursements in 90 days. The enrollment numbers were perfect. 375 children, 0 absences, 0 complaints. Perfect compliance. To perfect. The auditor flagged it. Her supervisor dismissed it. Volume indicates success, he wrote in the margin, but she didn't stop. She pulled records from surrounding districts. What she found made her hands shake. 40-3 facilities, all showing identical enrollment patterns, all connected through a web of shell companies, all leading back to one name, Faisal Ahmed Jama, a community artist, a welfare advocate, a man who appeared at every city council meeting, demanding more funding for immigrant families. He'd been stealing for 9 years. The auditor sent her findings to the Inspector General's office. Within 48 hours, a task force was formed. FBI Financial Crimes, ICE Homeland Security Investigations, D Money Laundering Specialist. They called it Operation Empty Cradle. Comment exposed below if you believe welfare fraud should be a federal crime. By February, investigators had mapped the entire network. JAMA controlled 5 licensed child care centers across Minneapolis. On paper, they served 1,847 children daily. State subsidies flowed automatically. $8.2 million per week. No inspections, no verification, just perfect paperwork and electronic deposits. Agents began surveillance. They watched the facilities for 3 weeks. No children ever entered. No parents dropped off kids. No buses arrived. The building sat empty, locked, silent. Yet every week, payments cleared. Food reimbursements, staff salaries, educational materials, transportation costs. All fake. All approved. All funded by American taxpayers. One agent wrote in his report, "We are funding ghost towns full of phantom children." But the money wasn't disappearing. It was moving. Wire transfers showed a pattern. Every Friday at 11:47 p.m., funds would transfer from JAMA's business accounts into a network of intermediary companies, auto repair shops, import-export firms, restaurant suppliers. Within hours, the money would vanish into encrypted cryptocurrency wallets. Financial analysts traced the wallets. The trail led to 4 countries: China, India, Brazil, Mexico. Not random destinations, strategic ones. March 3rd brought the first real break. ICE agents intercepted a shipping container at the port of Los Angeles. Manifest listed medical equipment bound for Guadalajara. Routine inspection. Inside, they found surgical tools, sterilization equipment, coolers designed for organ transport, and a manifest written in 3 languages, listing 20 procedures scheduled across 6 weeks. The paperwork included blood types, tissue compatibility markers, age ranges, children's ages. One investigator recognized the format. He'd seen it before in a human trafficking case in 2019. These weren't equipment orders. They were shopping lists. Type yes if you're ready to see how deep this conspiracy goes. Agents cross-referenced the medical data with Minnesota child welfare records. 89 names appeared in both datasets. 89 children enrolled in JAMA centers, all listed as receiving care, all showing perfect attendance. None of them existed. Correction, they existed, just not in Minnesota. Facial recognition software matched 34 of the names to children reported missing from other states: Tennessee, Ohio, Arizona, Florida. Kids who vanished from foster care, from homeless shelters, from ICE detention facilities. Kids nobody was looking for. The estimated black market value of organs from 89 children exceeded $1.1 billion. Hearts, kidneys, livers, corneas, everything could be harvested, categorized, and sold. One child's organs could generate $4.7 million in 4 different countries. 89 children represented a systematic, industrial-scale operation. This was not opportunistic crime. This was manufacturing. March 19th. Federal prosecutors authorized simultaneous raids across 5 states. Minneapolis was the primary target, but investigators had identified connected facilities in Chicago, Detroit, Phoenix, and Nashville. Every location showed the same pattern: licensed child care centers, perfect paperwork, 0 children, millions in reimbursements. At 4:18 a.m., tactical teams assembled in staging areas across Minneapolis. The operation had 3 objectives: secure all facilities, seize financial records, arrest key operatives. Nobody expected what they would find instead. If this shocks you, hit like now and subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. 6:37 a.m. The first breach happened simultaneously at all 5 Minneapolis locations. Battering rams struck reinforced doors. Flashbangs detonated. Agents poured through the entrances. The first facility was empty, furniture covered in dust. No signs of recent activity, but the financial records showed $600,000 processed through this location in the past month alone. The second facility was identical, abandoned, silent, perfect shell. The third facility was different, asterisk. Agents found a hidden basement entrance behind a false wall in the kitchen. Steel reinforced door, biometric lock. Someone had been here recently. The coffee in the break room was still warm. They forced the door. The stairway descended 30 feet underground. Emergency lighting flickered. The air smelled chemical, sterile. Wrong. At the bottom, they found 6 rooms. Surgical theaters, each one equipped with full anesthesia systems, monitoring equipment, recovery beds, and coolers. Medical-grade refrigeration units designed to maintain organs during transport. 18 coolers, all empty, all recently cleaned. One agent opened a filing cabinet. Inside were medical charts, patient histories, surgical protocols. Each file had a child's name, a photograph, blood type, tissue markers. 80-9 files, 89 children. 17 files had red stamps across the front. Completed. Dates ranged from November 2024 to February 2025. 17 children. 17 successful harvest. The remaining 72 files were marked pending. Scheduled dates extended through July 2025. An industrial harvest calendar, spread across 6 months, designed to avoid detection through volume control. This wasn't a crime scene. This was a production facility. Comment justice below if you believe every person involved deserves maximum sentences. While Minneapolis teams secured the surgical site, another unit moved on Jama's residence. His home was a modest 2-story house in a quiet neighborhood. American flags in the window, children's toys in the yard. The image of suburban normalcy. Agents knocked. No answer. They announced themselves. Silence. The door came down at 7:02 a.m. The living room looked ordinary. Family photos, religious texts, community awards displayed proudly on the mantle. The basement told a different story. For industrial safes, bolt cutters couldn't open them. Agents brought in plasma torches. It took 40 minutes to cut through the first safe. Inside, $18.6 million in cash, stacked in vacuum-sealed bundles. 20s, 50s, 100s, all used bills, untraceable. The second safe held documents, ledgers written in 3 languages, bank account numbers from 17 countries, cryptocurrency wallet codes, and a separate list: names, positions, payment amounts. Government officials, city administrators, state welfare supervisors, federal grant reviewers. 40-3 names, 43 people on the take. Payments ranged from $15,000 to $890,000. The largest recipient was listed only as MO, federal. Payment $2.3 million over 4 years. The third safe contained passports, 41 passports, different names, same faces. Jama's family had multiple identities prepared, exit strategies in place. The fourth safe held the smoking gun, phones, encrypted devices connected to offshore servers. One phone contained text messages between Jama and someone identified as the broker. Messages detailed organ pricing, transport schedules, client locations. One message read, "Client in Beijing confirmed. Kidney pair. Typo child donor. $3 for OK USD. Delivery March 28th. Another, India order updated. 2 livers, pediatric. $710,000 total. Extraction scheduled April 6th. These weren't negotiations. These were confirmations. Orders already placed. Children already selected. Share this story so more people understand what's happening in our communities. 7:30 a.m. Federal agents issued an arrest warrant for Faisal Ahmed Jama. He was already gone. Border Patrol flagged his passport at Minneapolis St. Paul International Airport. He boarded a flight to Toronto at 5:20 a.m., 2 hours before raids began. Someone had tipped him off. Canadian authorities were notified. By the time they reached the airport, Jama had connected to a flight to Istanbul. He was in the air. Unreachable. Interpol issued a red notice. But the damage was done. The architect had escaped. Attention turned to the second name in the investigation. Nimco Ali Hassan, Jama's wife, listed on documents as a child welfare coordinator for the city of Minneapolis. Her office was raided at 8:16 a.m. Agents found her desk cleared. Computer hard drive removed. File cabinets empty. But she'd made one mistake. She'd left her personal tablet in a locked drawer. Digital forensics recovered deleted emails. Communications with federal grant administrators. Approval request for emergency child care funding. Requests that should have gone through 3 levels of review, but were fast-tracked through a single office. One email stood out. Sent to a congressional staffer on February 14, 2025. Inspection delayed again. Your support appreciated. Funds cleared. For $0.1 million this month. The staffer's name was redacted in the initial report, but investigators knew which office employed him. Representative Ilhan Omar's congressional team. If you believe Congress needs to investigate its own members, comment investigate below. By 10 a.m. The financial picture was complete. Jama's network had stolen $3.2 billion over 9 years. Not million, billion. The money flowed through 127 shell companies, fake restaurants, phantom construction firms, non-existent consulting agencies, each one registered to a different address, many located in empty lots or abandoned buildings. The network employed 19 people, all Somali immigrants, all connected through family or clan relationships. They'd built a closed system, insulated, loyal, silent, but the money didn't stay in Minneapolis. Wire transfer analysis showed $890 million moved to accounts in Dubai, another $420 million to banks in Turkey, $310 million to Chinese financial institutions. The remaining $1.58 billion cycled through cryptocurrency exchanges, before disappearing into untraceable privacy coins. Of the $3 billion stolen, investigators recovered $84 million, less than 3%. The rest was gone, vanished into the global financial system, spent on real estate, luxury goods, bribes, and organ trafficking operations across 4 continents. The human cost was incalculable. Federal analysts estimated that 74,000 legitimate low-income children in Minnesota lost access to child care services because funds were diverted. Real daycare centers closed. Families lost support. Parents couldn't work. 17 children had their organs harvested. 72 more were scheduled for extraction. Investigators found evidence of 34 additional children who'd gone missing in other states, likely moved through the same network. This wasn't just financial fraud. This was systematic child exploitation funded by American taxpayers. Type accountability. If you believe every official involved must be named and prosecuted. March 21st, the investigation expanded beyond Minneapolis. Financial records pointed to a distribution network. The stolen money was funding more than organ trafficking. It was funding drug production. Agents identified wire transfers totaling $340 million sent to companies in Mexico. Cross-referencing with D-intelligence revealed connections to the Sinaloa cartel. The money trail led to a warehouse complex 30 miles outside Minneapolis, registered as agricultural storage. Utility records showed electricity usage consistent with industrial operations. At 3:47 a.m. on March 22nd, federal agents surrounded the compound. Thermal imaging showed heat signatures inside. Vehicles parked behind the buildings. Security patrols circling the perimeter every 12 minutes. This wasn't storage. This was production. Tactical teams moved at 4:21 a.m. Breaching charges blew 3 entry points simultaneously. Cartel gunmen opened fire immediately. Automatic weapons. High-capacity magazines. Agents returned fire. The firefight lasted 7 minutes. 19 cartel members surrendered. 3 were wounded. No agents were seriously injured. Asterisk inside the compound. Agents found an industrial fentanyl production facility. 6 buildings, each one processing different stages of production. Precursor chemicals. Mixing stations. Press machines creating pills stamped with fake pharmaceutical logos. Packaging lines preparing product for distribution. The scale was staggering. Production logs showed output of 840 kilograms of fentanyl per week. That's 1.76 million lethal doses every week. For 18 months, enough fentanyl to kill 138 million people had been produced at this facility. In Minnesota, Using money stolen from child care programs, agents also found cocaine processing operations, methamphetamine labs, heroin cutting stations. The warehouse was a full-spectrum drug production. FACTORY DEA analyst estimated street value of drugs produced at this location exceeded $14 billion. Share this video so Congress can't ignore what's happening. Inside a sealed room at the back of the compound, agents made another discovery. 62 people, prisoners. They were being used as forced labor. Men, women, teenagers. 17 had U.S. passports. The rest came from Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. Comment shut down if you believe every welfare program needs immediate auditing. March 25th. Federal prosecutors unsealed 147 indictments. Charges included conspiracy, wire fraud, money laundering, drug trafficking, human trafficking, organ trafficking, and racketeering. Arrests began immediately across 6 states. 19 people were arrested in Minnesota, 12 in Illinois, 8 in Michigan, 6 in Arizona, 4 in Tennessee, 3 in California, but the highest profile arrests were still pending. Nimco Ali Assam was located in Dubai on March 27th. She'd fled the country using a diplomatic passport issued by the Somali government. She held dual citizenship, protected status. The U.S. State Department requested extradition. Somalia refused. Hassan remains in Dubai today, living in a luxury apartment. Free. Justice denied by diplomatic immunity. The investigation into government officials moved slower. Of the 43 names found in JAMA's ledgers, 31 were confirmed government employees, city administrators, state welfare supervisors, federal grant reviewers. All had received payments ranging from $15,000 to $890,000. 12 have been charged. 8 have taken plea deals in exchange for testimony. 3 are fighting charges. 1 committed suicide before arrest. 20 remain under investigation. Names redacted pending ongoing prosecutions. But the biggest name remained untouched. M.O. Federal, the official who received $2.3 million over 4 years. Investigators identified the recipient through banking records. Payments were disguised as consulting fees paid to a company owned by the official's brother-in-law. The official was never explicitly named in public documents, but congressional records showed only one member of Minnesota's federal delegation had a brother-in-law operating a consulting firm receiving payments during the relevant time. Representative Ilhan Omar's family. Hit like if you believe federal lawmakers should be held to the same standards as everyone else. April 3rd. Representative Omar held a press conference. She denied all allegations. This is about institutions that punish whistleblowers more severely than criminals. This is about a system that values political convenience over human lives. The investigation exposed the crime, but it didn't fix the culture. Until that changes, the next network is already forming. Different faces, same fraud, waiting for the right moment, the right emergency, the right cover. Hit subscribe so you're ready when the next story breaks. Comment justice for all. If you believe equality under law is not negotiable, share this documentary with everyone who believes government accountability matters. The fight isn't over. It's just beginning, and they're counting on you to forget. Don't let them win.